talks a lot, he'll keep you on your toes. It's the Eric Miranda Show. When he drank a lot, he would fight a lot. He might punch you in your nose. It's the Eric Miranda Show. There are people who would tell you he is crazy, but if you listen closely, he's unbelievable. He used to drink a lot, now he talks a lot. He'll keep you on your toes. It's the Eric Miranda, Eric Miranda, Eric Miranda Show.
Good evening, and welcome to the Eric Miranda Show. I'm your host, Eric Miranda. I'm all alone. I'm all alone. So, hey, you know what I found today? This is actually, I don't know if anybody's interested in this, but I kind of enjoyed this. You ready? I'm going to lip sync to it, but.
He used to drink a lot, now he talks a lot. He'll keep you on your toes. It's the Eric Miranda Show. When he drank a lot, he would fight a lot. He might punch you in your nose. It's the Eric Miranda Show. There are people who would tell you he is crazy.
That's absolutely the lowest note I've ever hit in my whole life. I don't have a low voice. So anyway, I'm by myself. I have Magila in the background helping me with some stuff, but I kind of, there's a thing going on in my life right now, and I feel a little sadness because I'm trying to figure out what we're doing here, and I love doing the show. I love you all, love the people who tune in, and I kind of, I've envisioned doing interviews. So in 2 weeks, I have Tony Award winner Katie Huffman coming on. In a few weeks, I actually have a friend, Laurie Sindoni's husband, Gethin, coming on. He's a Welshman, and he's is he a physicist? He's a physicist. And I'm not going to antagonize him about the moon landing and stuff, but I do want to hear, because we listen to conspiracy theories all week long, or I do anyway. And then I realized, wow, these people are not qualified to say anything. Now, I don't always believe the alleged qualified people are the end all, because sometimes they have a vested interest in, their station in life kind of dictates that they don't want to undermine, anyway, you get it, right? You get what I'm saying? So I kind of want some kind of authority on some of that astronomy and astronomy, which actually isn't that different if you think about it, right? Because didn't Jesus follow a star? The wise men? I'm not so wise. I thought it was Jesus. He was just being born. But you know what I mean? So and apparently Alexander the Great, who was the most pragmatic, he was studied under Aristotle. And at some point in his military career, the claim is that he was drinking a lot. He used to drink a lot. He would definitely fight a lot. And then he started using astrologers and fortune tellers to say whether or not he should go into certain places. So he kind of lost it a little bit. But is that really, are astrologers the original astronomers? They kind of have to be in a way, right? Who knows? I should look that up before I start talking crap. But, so I'm going to have Gethin on at some point. I'm going to have Katie Huffman on. I'm going to have Dan Volkamer on. He swears he's coming on next week to tell me why. I think we're talking about the moon landing. I don't know if he's a flat earther. I don't think so. I know a couple of flat earthers, and believe it or not, folks, I know some flat earthers who are well educated. And I'm going to say this, and this may seem mean, but when my friends are flat earthers and they don't have any children, and they believe all the conspiracy theories. When they believe all the conspiracy theories, I struggle, because it's like, dude, I can't teach my kids to go to school, get beaten up, expelled, and then failed because the teachers hate their guts. So I have to teach my kids to kind of have a reasonable semblance of going along with the narrative, That being said, I want to have all kinds of different people. I'm friendly with Brendan Brown from the band Wheatus, Teenage Dirtbag. They've had a resurgence because of a TikTok video, so they're touring all over the world right now. They were in Australia twice in the past 2 months. I saw them in England. Got to catch a show there. I'm going to ask Brendan if he'll come on. I'm assuming he will. I don't know, but great guy, really super talented. I mean, he doesn't just write great songs, great guitar player. He's got ears like unbelievable level of what he hears in music. I'm gonna have Brandon Adams, one of the owners, one of the children of Lloyd's Carrot Cake. Anyone who lives in the Bronx or Manhattan, and if you've been to restaurants, most of the time you're getting a Lloyd's Carrot Cake. So they're a real interesting story. He's my neighbor. I'm going to have him on. And if you all know, and then I'm going to have Hopi Rock, guitar player from the band Candy Ass, and what were they called? What was the next name of the band? Anyway, sorry, Hopi, if you're watching. But she's going to be on talking again about plastics. She does prenatal of like the effects of plastics uh prenatal, like so how it affects pregnancies and things like that. And she's a punk rocker who toured with Pink and toured with me. You like that, me and Pink, right? We're both big deals, right? So so that's kind of a thing I want to do. And so I don't know what's going to go on with co-hosts and things like that, and I'm sad about it. And I've been getting like snarky messages from friends of a few people who are on the show, and like, guys, come on, man, like, be nice. I'm nice to you. Am I nice? All right. Another thing that we're going to do a little differently is I'm going to pause and we're going to take I'm getting comments from people that I'm talking about something and they want to comment on it and it's coming in late. I can't really answer in real time. So what I'd like to do, I'd like to talk about We Are the World. I'd like to talk about that documentary, The Greatest Night in Pop. And then I'll kind of pause, maybe talk to the wife. And if we have some questions that you can send in as we're going, and then we can maybe address them. I hope that doesn't put too much on the wife who's behind the scenes right now, because she's going to have to kind of know what the reference was. So if we can pull that off, great. And ultimately, I kind of want to know how people feel about a Saturday morning show. And I'll tell you why. 30% of my friends, like good friends, live in England. And some of them stay on late. We have Salted Dog Sturman comes on, and Danny Dunnery's been on, and I love their humor. We're friends. I see them a lot over there. I see some of them over here, and they're not getting to participate. I'd love to interview some of them who are, well-known guitar players. My friend Quinn Starkey, who lives, where does Quinn live? In Sweden, I think. So I'd like to really incorporate that part of my life into the show. And it's difficult because by the time we get on, it's 1 a.m. for them. So I'm kind of curious if people want to pop in and let me know what they think about possibly a Saturday morning podcast. And I know a lot of people see the show, as the week goes, it goes from like 150 plays to like, to 350, and sometimes up to 500 on the various media. So I know not everybody's watching it in real time. I had one friend say, I'm not going to sit there and listen to you talk for an hour. And I love the guy, but like, honestly, I don't care. I really don't care. I'm trying to I've had people say to me, hey man, you had Francis Dunriani who's talking about, the effects of kids on devices, and he's a great guitar player who's played with Ian Anderson, Steve Hackett from Genesis, Robert Plant. Yes, he's played with everyone, and he wants to talk about kids not getting enough outdoor activity. And another parent was on, like, waiting with bated breath for the punchline, and through no one's fault, it just got, somebody made a comment, somebody laughed, somebody referenced something else, and then Francis, being clever and funny, just jumped right in, and that went away. And I kind of want to avoid that. So now that I've kissed everyone's ass and tried to make nice, I'm here to talk about The Greatest Night in Pop. I don't know what made me decide to watch that documentary. And if anyone has seen it, let me know in the comments. And then when we get to some, discussion, wow. All I have to say is wow. For starters, I never knew they recorded that damn song in one night. Michael Jackson and Lionel Richie wrote it. Stevie Wonder was supposed to write it with him, and he didn't call them back for 2 weeks. And when he got to the session to write, they were like, yeah, dude, the song's already written. He's like, that's cool. I'll just sing on it. And he plays piano on it. But dudes, it's so insane. uh, what happened was so Harry Belafonte made a comment to Quincy Jones that the English had there won't be snow in Africa this Christmas time. Hey, by the way, what language do they speak in Ethiopia? No. What religion are they? What religion? Because they're like, do they know it's Christmas time? And I'm like, do they fucking care it's Christmas time? You know what I mean? Like you talk about like white privilege. Do they know it's Christmas time? They say, yeah, like we're all fucking Christmas trees. So I don't know if they know or care, but so Bob Geldof did the Band-Aid thing, and Harry Belafonte, who's a legitimate activist, he was just like, why are a bunch of English artists taking care of Africa and African Americans aren't? So he kind of, and Quincy Jones was like, yeah, and blah, blah, blah. And the discussion began. And before I criticize the English version of this, because I just watched that also, fucking learn how to sing, you fucking guys, man. Holy shit. Like when you listen to the Americans singing this song, We Are the World, and then you listen to Do They Know It's Christmas Time? Everybody thought they were funny. Everybody thinks they're John Lennon. Everybody sings their cool style. Nobody's got vibrato. Everyone's flat. Go listen to it. It's even, you remember what, like, I remember when Bono went, tonight, thank God it's them instead of you. I always thought it was amazing. It's not that amazing. It's actually flat. There you go, Bono. You used to call yourself Bono Vox, the voice. Get some vibrato. Anyway, so, but Bob Geldof, I'm going to, hey, wife, do you have the Bob Geldof clip? I want to put this up for a second because, and before you put it up, Michael Hutchins and from INXS, and I forgot what was Geldof's wife's name. Anyway, they had an affair. They had a child together. Michael Hutchins hanged himself in like 1997. 3 years later, on her daughter's birthday, Bob Geldof's ex-wife, who has the baby with Hutchins, died of an overdose. And Bob Geldof, instead of resentment, he adopts. Let's put this up. This is so cool. Like, so he's just legit, period. Are you able to do that, or do you need me to do that? Let's see. All right, that one. While I'm waiting for that, and again, I'm assuming that can be done with her off screen, but I don't actually know. So Bob Geldof adopted. Oh, there we go. Here we go. All right. So, is that the? Okay? Yeah. Let's give that a play.
You've done something incredibly decent by taking on Tiger Lily as well.
Yeah, but that's a no-brainer. I mean, that's ridiculous. Anyone would have done exactly the same. It's a little kid who's lost their mum and dad, whose sisters are with me. I mean, please,
But even though she was the daughter of your ex-wife and her lover.
What's that got to do with it? She's a gorgeous, beautiful little spark, and, the girls adore her. We all adore her, She's a fantastic kid.
Does she call your dad?
She does, yeah. We were doing the shopping, and one of my songs came on the radio on the PA, followed by Michael. And she just went like this. And she said, that's you, Dad, with my one. And she said, yeah. And she said, and that's my real dad. And I said, yeah. And she said, my real dad's a better singer than you. Yeah, thanks, great. Thanks, kid. True, but,
Yeah. So, I mean, he adopts the daughter, his the love child of his cheating wife. I mean, the guy's just got something. Now, it is funny that Morrissey, when he wasn't invited to do Band-Aid, he called Bob Geldof diabolical, which I thought was pretty funny. So, all right, I want to get to We Are the World. So, all right, so man, like, I don't know if it was nostalgia or what, but the show, the song is as good as I remember. It's actually better. And again, I don't know if it's just because I'm in love with my childhood, or my later teens, but man, and it was recorded in one night. So it's like the session started at 10 p.m. Everybody comes in for the AMA awards. Lionel Richie, who was hosting the AMAs, he writes the song, and then he's got to be there to help out and keep everything organized, right? And they start at 10 p.m. Bruce Springsteen, for instance, he wasn't at the AMAs. He was flying in from Buffalo through a snowstorm at the end of a tour. Everybody's there to receive awards. They're there to be nominated for awards, to just be there, right? And so they were in LA for something totally different, but they all came together and did this song, right? And they stayed there till 8 a.m. So after the AMAs, instead of celebrating or going back to their hotel to snort cocaine up a hooker's rump or whatever they do, whatever those rock and rollers do, right? They went in there and they recorded it, and it's pretty unbelievable. So I've been in sessions till 4 a.m, but not with 40. Like, all right, let's start with Lionel Richie back in the day. That guy was the coolest dude alive. Like, not Fonzie cool, but like in the most likable, chill way. Like, I want to hang out with this guy, right? I mean, during the award show, he keeps coming out with different clothes on, and I'm like looking through my closets, like, where are my Plums clothing from my 90s glam phase? Like, I wanted to dress like him. I'm like, how does anyone get that cool? Like, do you take dance lessons? Do you drink 40s with Billy D. Williams? Oh, man. Like, cooler than cool, right? And then his house, I'm pretty sure it was his foyer that they showed in a shot at the end of the documentary. Like, you could shoot Tony Montana right off the landing of this thing. Right? If there's reincarnation, I'm coming back as 80s era Lionel Richie, and then I'm going to snort cocaine with Tony Montana. Or what's this? Wow, come on. I can't believe it. Michael Corleone. I can't remember one of my favorite actors' names. Doesn't matter. I just had a senior moment right in front of everyone, right? So nobody's cooler than Lionel Richie. And truth be told, the other cool cat in the room is Quincy Jones. He may be as cool as Lionel because, look, we know him as musicians and a lot of people in our generation. He won 28 Grammys. We know Street Beater, right? Remember for Sanford & Son, right? He produced Thriller, and I don't even know what the 28 Grammys are. I'm just saying the things that I know, but I've never seen him in action. And when I say action, I'm talking about, like, he wasn't only producing musically what was about to become the biggest single in the history of music at the time, but he was simultaneously managing the biggest cockfest ever assembled, save maybe the stupid Band-Aid cockfest. At least his cockfest could sing. We all know the results. He absolutely nailed it, right? And again, I don't know if it's nostalgia, but just hearing the song again is worth watching the documentary. Huey Lewis. I've been an unabashed Huey Lewis fan for years, right? I think he's amazing. I do take issue with his Ghostbuster Ray Parker Jr. lawsuit. And by the way, there either was or could have been a countersuit on Huey. So what happened was Columbia Pictures settled with him. He said that I Want a New Drug was stolen for Ghostbusters, and they're similar, whatever. Columbia Pictures doesn't want to deal with it because they're dealing with the release of a movie, and they settle with him, and there's a non-disclosure agreement or whatever you call that, right? So they got a hush after the settlement. And Huey is like, in 2014, he's being interviewed somewhere, and I saw this interview, and he just starts shit talking Parker Jr. I'm like he's like, you don't just steal someone's vibe, man. And I'm like, is he forgetting that there's a legal agreement? I'm like, Huey, what are you doing, bro? Like, he's just going off the rails. I don't even think he's thinking that that's in place forever, And I'm going to tell you guys something right now, based on something that happened with me, which doesn't matter, and based on what I've observed, Huey would have lost that lawsuit. It would, I mean, I could probably do a whole show on this subject, but let me sum it up by saying, to the jaded, entitled brats and estate lawyers of all my music heroes, there are 12 fucking notes in Western music. And the 10 chord progressions we use over and over are mostly Bach, some Brahms. Stop suing Ed Sheeran. Leave the little ginger midget alone. How great is that black and white kumbaya moment. You have Lionel Richie and Stevie Wonder open the song. There is a time when we heed a certain call, and right, and the next lines are Paul Simon and Kenny Rogers. Like, what a stroke of We Are the World, flower power genius. I forgot the name of the guy, but Quincy had a guy doing the vocal arrangements, and he was supposed to be mixing and matching the best vocal combinations, and he probably like got it right. And somebody's like, hey, dude, there's going to be like a video for this too, right? He's like, oh shit, right? So it's like, he's probably like, yeah, we'll go from Stevie Wonder to Al Jarreau. And then someone's like, no, there's going to be a video. And he's like, damn. Okay, Stevie, Lionel, who are the two whitest motherfuckers we got? Okay, Paul Simon, Kenny Rogers, you stand right here. Like, it's like so great because it's like black men, then like, and Kenny Rogers is wearing the like USA for Africa shirt. He's like the original virtue signaler, right? Like this big white guy. Like they could have stood him on a bale of hay with a pitchfork because he looks like he's going to sing the themes to Green Acres. I swear to God, it's so great, right? And they were looking for contrast. It because if they were looking to blend it, they could have taken every white-black situation next to each other and put Michael Jackson right in the middle. Because he wasn't off the wall black anymore, but he wasn't Liz Taylor white yet, right? Like who needs Final Cut Pro when you have a living crossfade like Michael Jackson, right? They could have put some samples of Kanye. Got a light-skinned friend, look like Michael Jackson. Got a dark-skinned friend, look, right? And, look, there's Tina Turner and Billy Joel. Like it all works great. So it's not like it was a problem that they did this, but it's pretty like, it's just so kumbaya. It's almost as good as when Ted Danson was dating Whoopi Goldberg, right? And all right, so the first chorus it starts with Michael. We are the world, we are the children, right? And he's got the fucking glove on. I'm like, dude, like you're with friends, like you're a professional. Take the glove off. Like you don't want to leave fingerprints. And right, he's like, and he wrote this chorus. So he's like, we are the world. And then he's like, we are the children. We're like, Michael, you can't actually write that, bro. You can't sing that. Right? Can you imagine if they have a thing in the future that scans video and they can actually tell heart rate and adrenaline? He's like, we are the world. And like the compassion meter goes up. And then he's like, we are the children. And then he just lights up like a Christmas tree. It's like so. But believe it or not, despite how that all went down with Michael Jackson, the kid lawsuits, those people in that studio all seemed like real people. Little plastic surgery here and there like Michael. But if you look at what's going on now, this seemed real to me. That's what it is. Like, can you imagine, like, by the way, one of the most noticeable things in that video is there's no cell phones. So there's 40 people signing autographs for each other, talking to each other. Nobody's looking at their cell phone. Nobody's taking pictures except the photographers. Nobody's posting on Insta, right? But the biggest issue for me, can you imagine, like if we had that We Are the World today, right? You'd go up to somebody like, I'm not going to pick on Taylor Swift actually because she does give charity, but can you imagine going up to somebody like, I don't know, who should I do this without picking on anybody? I don't know. Let's just go Post Malone. I'm not saying that this is Post, but like, hey, yeah, Post, like, these kids, they're starving in Africa. Their ribs are showing. He's like, oh, dude, what's his Venmo, man? I'll send him 10 grand. Like, it's just because everybody's got corporate sponsors now and corporations now, woke corporations. Like, they've been doing this for years now. Like, they sponsor an artist. They profit from the artist. They buy their catalog. They send money to Africa. It's like, it's not as real anymore. Like people, I love modern music. I love Justin Bieber. I loved P. Diddy. Let's see what happens. P. Diddy apparently loved Justin Bieber too. Like, anyway, I don't know, but it seems so real. It seems like these people showed up for this session because they really wanted to be there, and it didn't seem like virtue signaling. It actually, except for Kenny Rogers' shirt, it seemed like real. it actually seemed like we're going to write a song. We're all going to perform it. We're not going to get royalties from it. We're going to give all the money to people starving in Africa. It took effort. It took organization, and it was the number one single, I believe, ever at the time. It sold like 1 million copies in 20 minutes, and nobody profited from it except the people, the children and men and women of Ethiopia. That's pretty massive. I don't think we have quite that. We have Mr. Beast says, I'm going to plant 1 million trees, and then Chase Bank kicks in a couple of million, then Elon Musk matches it. It's different now. It's like these cajillionaires take over the world and they say, look how nice I am. And I'm not saying they're not really compassionate. It just doesn't work as organically and the same grassroots anymore. So, anyway, all right. So you have Diana Ross. She sings in the chorus also. She's just amazing. Does anybody forget how gorgeous she was? Does anybody remember how gorgeous Diana Ross was when she was younger? It's like you're looking at her. She looks a little bit like Michael Jackson. I don't know. Maybe he needs to keep that glove on, guys. So Willie Nelson gets Oreo'd. Am I going to get canceled for saying that? Willie Nelson gets Oreo'd between Dionne Warwick and Al Jarreau, who says, I forgot his line. He's like, ah, and apparently he was drunk. That's what somebody on the documentary said. Every time he got close to doing his line correctly, he'd celebrate with a bottle of wine. So Willie Nelson gets Oreo'd between Diana Ross, Dionne Warwick, and Al Jarreau. And then what he does that's amazing is Dionne Warwick turns the page really slowly. Now, there's this stupid thing I'm tired of hearing. Oh, the black pocket. Fuck you. There's no black pocket. If there is, Ringo Starr and John Bonham have it as much as anybody in the world. So that sounds kind of racist, that whole thing. But it's true. That's the problem when you listen to certain artists. But Willie Nelson's one of the grown-ups in the room. Dionne Warwick in the black pocket turns the page real slow, and he just comes in on the harmony real back. Like he's so in the pocket. They're so not rushing what's going on. It's insane. And then he sings the line, by turning stone to bread. Why is this? It's not supposed to be ringing. Anyway, so Willie's, my son just called me and threw my whole game off. Willie Nelson is like, he just kicks ass, right? And then, so speaking of, again, I hate the virtue signaling, but other than Willie and Cyndi Lauper and a few others, it seems like all the black artists were just singing, and then all the white artists were trying to sing like the black. It's like a weird thing. I hate that, because this is what I'm telling you. I don't believe, but it's true. You gotta see Stevie and Dionne Warwick and even Ray Charles at the end. They're just there's just this natural. I guess everybody in pop music to a certain extent are trying to be blues artists. So the black American artists, that's kind of what they are. So it's they're doing what historically they created, and then everybody in pop, if you want to hear white people excel in music, I'm serious, listen to them play classical music, even though the Asians have completely kicked our ass in that. But in other words, in our DNA, there's some really organized, on top of the beat kind of thing. And it's beautiful. I mean, again, Bach is my guy. There was a video that somebody sent me. He sent me a video of B.B. King. It was B.B. King, Buddy Guy, Jeff Beck, Eric Clapton, and who's the other guitar player? I can't believe I'm Albert Collins, maybe? Albert Collins. And they're playing blues. And my friend says, hey man, what do you think of this? Because he knows I'm a Beck fan. And I said, I think white English guys should never get on stage with black Americans and play blues. I mean it. It's just awful. As a matter of fact, BB stops in the song and he says, I'm making the lineup because I don't remember, but it's something like, and the Lord said, and Buddy Guy goes, and the Lord said, and Albert Collins goes, bow, 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 bow. and load. And then Eric Clapton goes, and he says, BB King actually says in the video, says, somebody's getting greedy. And then he goes, on an angel's wings. And Jeff Beckle's like, with the bar and the thumb up at the thing he does. And he goes, and it's contagious. And I was like, oh my God. 2 English guitar player heroes just got like told to sit down by BB King. So there's something crazy in the way, if you guys gotta, I mean, hopefully some of you are kind of watching it while you're watching this. There's like this crazy natural thing that's going on. And, you know, it's just insane. But Willie Nelson, there's like, great. Everybody's great on it, but there is definitely something in what's happening with like Stevie, Al Jarreau, Lionel Richie. You know, Michael Jackson's Michael Jackson. He may be the best on the damn song, but he's almost like the white guy. And I don't mean that because of like all the surgery. He's got like a very kind of killer rock and roll tension to him. You know, it's not so, he's not always like when he was younger, Jackson 5, he kind of had that, you know, he had that real soulful thing, but he kind of became just like the ultimate pop guy, you know? Yeah, Cindy's amazing. But like, you know what I mean? But it's just weird how like everybody's trying to do that blues thing. You know, it's like that. What's that expression? What would Jesus do? It's like, what would Louis Armstrong do? You know, I can't describe it, but they're all great, right? One of the most amazing things, if you want to know how great Stevie Wonder is, Bob Dylan, who really is just the reincarnation of Woody Guthrie. I've always said it, and then one of his friends said it in the documentary. Bob Dylan gets confused about how to sing like Bob Dylan. Like he's literally at the microphone. They give him lines, and he doesn't know what to do. And he goes over to Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder's like, well, you know, I've listened to you. He's like, Dylan make a better day. Just you and me. And he shows Bob Dylan how to be Bob Dylan. It's like extraordinary. It's like insane. Like it's kind of like but then I start to become suspect. Does Bob Dylan calculate everything and he was just having a bad moment? I mean, we know, look, there's that line in the Scorsese documentary where one of his friends said he wanted to be in the Beatles, but there was an opening for Woody Guthrie. So he took it. And that's kind of true. But look, he's, you know, it's hard to argue with how talented Dylan is. I mean, he started, you know, and speaking of Dylan, Bruce Springsteen is not shy about the fact that Dylan, you know, is the lyricist that he kind of kicked off the modern generation of these prose writers, right? Ryan Adams, Adam Duritz from the Counting Crows, you know, like there's this thing, there's like a lineage from Dylan to these guys now, right? But Bruce Springsteen, when he comes into the chorus, he literally goes like, we are the world, and he makes the face. And for a second, I thought he was just going to start singing Born to Run. Like he was so hell-bent on being Bruce Springsteen that I started to think, does he really sing like that in real life? Or does he do that on, like, did he make that up? Because he's like, literally, like, I thought he was going to be like, we are the world, madmen, drummers, bombers, and Indians in the summer with a teenage dip. Like, it was like, so like, it was too Bruce to be true, so to speak. You know, it's great, but it's just like, wow. Like, if you like watch it, you got to see it. He makes the Bruce face. And it's so, it seems fabricated. I don't know. Kind of had a little scent of disingenuity. Disingenuity. Is that actually a word? By the way, Bruce kicks off a 4-person white streak, which is amazing. It actually goes Bruce, Kenny Loggins, Steve Perry, Daryl Hall. So it was like the wall of white. It was like a snowstorm, right? Now, how lucky is Kenny Loggins? He's got good songs. Footloose is his only number one. They say timing's everything, right? It made him temporarily relevant enough to be included on a project with Ray Charles and Smokey Robinson. That's all I have to say. And he knows it, right? Because if you watch in the video, he sings his line, he smiles, and he spins around like a kid. It's actually really endearing to see. He's got this ear-to-ear grin until he realizes Steve Perry's going to sing the next line and end his fucking winning streak. Steve Perry's one of the grown-ups in the room, man. What a voice. Like, you know, Kenny Loggins sounds great, but like if somebody said, Eric, you're going to sing after Bruce, I'll be like, yeah, man, I like Bruce. Cool. I can handle Bruce. You're followed by Steve Perry. Fuck that. Like Daryl Hall was known as a crooner until he followed Steve Perry, then Maneater, and it was all downhill from there. Unbelievable. What a guy. Watch the video, guys. You got to watch this. You got to watch this documentary. You're going to realize that you're in love with the 80s. So at one point, Stevie Wonder, first of all, another stroke of genius of Quincy Jones is he actually has Bob Geldof come in and speak to everyone. Because again, that thing like, yeah, man, yeah. And then Bob Geldof comes in, he's like, I went to Africa. These people are starving, and there's grain silos in Europe and the United States that are overflowing. We need to send money and food to these people. So it was a real stroke of genius. And again, you know, Bob Geldof in the Band-Aid one, he's the only one who's not being like, he's really there. And Boy George was pretty cool. And George Michael can sing like a motherfucker. I mean, he's as good as Stevie Wonder and those guys. Amazing. But so he comes in and he does the lecture, right? But this is like so incredible. So Stevie Wonder decides that in order for the people of Ethiopia to know how much we love them, which wasn't the point, we're trying to send them money, so we're not trying to get money from them, but he thinks they need to understand us. So he starts translating the chorus of the song to Swahili before anyone points out that the people in Ethiopia don't speak Swahili. So Stevie is off the rails, right? But before that happened, now I think Waylon Jennings may have did a chorus at the end before this happened because he's on the chorus. You can see him and he's on the song. But Waylon Jennings says, ain't no good old boy singing nothing in none of them languages. And he leaves the session. He literally protests singing in an African language. Like, holy cow, man. Like, what was he? I help these people, but don't expect me to start talking like them. Like, bro, it's like everyone around him must have been like, dude, we are the world. Like, oh man. And apparently his career went down after that. I wonder if they canceled him like subtly, like subtle like, you know, no Instagram cancellation, just hardcore business cancellation. And then you think when you watch that, you're like, did God really let Buddy Holly get on that plane instead of you, bro? Like, so if you watch the end of now I'm watching the end of the video and I'm like, wait a minute. Michael Jackson he's off the wall black again. It wasn't him. It was Jackie Jackson. First of all, who names a kid Jackie or calls him Jackie when his last name is Jackson? Right? So Jackie Jackson's on it, Jermaine Jackson, LaToya Jackson, Marlon Jackson, Randy Jackson, Tito Jackson, Waylon Jennings. They're all at the end of this song. But I'm watching the Jackson 5 and I'm like, there's Michael. They all look like Michael looked before he freaked out on us and chopped his face off. You know, Bette Midler's on it, John Oates, right? Because he had to be there, right? He's like, what's his name from Wham? Why can't I remember his name? So, so John Oates is there. Bob Geldof is on it. I guess he's the only English. Chris Hayes, Sean Hopper. Like there's just so many great artists on it. So I want to open up and talk. I mean, did anybody see this thing? That's kind of like my first question. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people did because it was pretty cool. So let's see. Hey, what's up, Lori? What's up, Jeff? My old neighbor. Kapow. Willie Houlihan. Corianti. I guess we don't have any nobody's asking questions about the We Are the World. So anyway, if you haven't seen it, just check it out. It's really, really something else. Really something else. Travis Kelce. This is a different subject, obviously. Travis Kelce, and who's the other? Who's his brother? Kelsey Grammer. Come on, what's the guy's name? Travis Kelce, Kelsey Grammer. They were saying in an interview recently on a podcast that at least 20% of people in the locker rooms, in the football games, the football players, believe in the flat earth theory. You know, I try to ask questions about flat earth to flat earthers. This is the thing. If I say to you, hey, you know, if 9/11 happened the way they said, why did George Bush's cousin take over the Port Authority security detail 3 months before it happened? Or why did Dick Cheney take over NORAD? There are questions that I ask because I want them answered, right? And that seems legitimate to me. But when I ask people about the flat earth theory, and I say, well, my friends are pilots and I've flown over the North Pole on the way to Holland or whatever, right? The answer is always like, well, and if you have to add a second conspiracy theory to explain why the first one's a conspiracy theory, I'm suspect. So I'm not sure. Does that make sense? Like, in other words, if I ask you a question, you can't answer it. I'm like, so is the official narrative. But if you tell me a conspiracy theory, and when I ask you a question, you have to add other conspiracy theories to it, it just seems a little bizarre to me. Am I wrong? I don't know. So I feel compelled to sing that song. Does anybody know the lyrics to We Are the World? I'm going to look them up. Let's do it. Because and by the way, it kind of bums me out because I would like to just play it, but we'll get canceled. Did you guys know that? Like if I posted it after the fact, we could do it, but I can't post it while we're doing the show live, or it gets taken down by YouTube and Facebook. Kind of stinks, right? I'll give $5. I'll give $10 to anyone. What's going on, man? Why do planes only fly east and west? I don't know. Tell me, Ray. Should I send you a link? Do you want to come on and tell us? Like seriously, I want somebody to explain this to me. Do you have stuff for me? See, man, everybody's got a theory, but nobody comes on to talk about it. I will have anybody who can tell me why the earth is flat. If somebody can prove it to me, like I'm willing to listen. I'm willing to listen to the earth being flat. But I'll get no, I won't get canceled for what you have to say. I can ask questions. See, I need somebody, man, this is crazy, right? See, look at this. I want to show some love here, right? It's a different, Lori. All right, so Lori, hey there. So Lori Montanino is it's a different world. It really everything is so corporate now that the beauty of that video, when you go back and watch We Are the World, you're actually going to see it's so bad now that Michael Jackson doesn't seem creepy back then. How's that? Like that is huge. When the world has changed, so much that you see a video of Michael Jackson, you're like, oh, Michael, I want to. All right, so Ray said we'll have to have that conversation another time. Dan Volkerman wants to talk about the moon landing and the Van Allen belts next week. That's what he says. But I need people to actually come on and do it. If you don't want to show, see, if I believe something, I generally say it, right? I don't believe the official narrative of 9/11. I have a lot of questions about the moon landing. I'm still going back and forth because I want to believe, but nobody can explain the Van Allen belts, the photos, and that video of us leaving. But again, I don't know. This is the thing we talked about last week. Do I really know? Oh, no. Listen, Ray just said, think about my last show talking about time. Yeah, we made time up. Like, I get that. So this is my dilemma is this, right? It's the thing, which conspiracy theories do you believe? Because I have friends who believe every conspiracy theory. So that means if I come up with something clever, and I'm pretty clever, I can start I can start a cult. By the way, Francis Dunnery, I swear to God, you guys know him from the show. Francis Dunnery literally accidentally started a cult once. He was reading Rumi, the great poet Rumi, the Persian poet. He was reading Nature of Personal Reality by Jane Roberts. I don't know if anybody here knows about that stuff, but it's heavy, heavy. She was a sci-fi writer, and she started channeling this entity called Seth. So the books are the Seth Speak series. But Seth was he was a 5,000-year-old spiritual entity, according to the book. And he was channeling a 10,000-year-old entity named Rupert. I don't care who was talking. She's in this trance. She's like, and if you believe it is so, it will be so. And her husband would write it down. And then somebody laughed at me once. They're like, you really think she's... I said, I don't care where she's getting this information. She said, check this out. She says in this book, Jane Roberts, The Nature of Personal Reality, she says, more about psychotherapy later. But for now, suffice to say, she says, suffice to say, I believe psychotherapy is often a game of hide and seek where we relinquish our behavior to some deep, dark forest of the past. Then we go searching in that forest for the answer, throwing up camouflages all the while. So we play that game instead of looking for it in our conscious mind where it resides. So we're conscious enough to go looking for it, but not conscious enough to acknowledge it consciously. And I believe that, and I'm not against psychotherapy and things like that, especially when people just, suffering trauma and initial things like that. But at a certain point, there was an AA meeting I used to go to in the East Village, and they started calling it My Therapist Told Me, because it wasn't spiritual. It wasn't about the AA 12 steps. It wasn't about any of the things that built AA. It was about like some psychotherapist. So when Jane Roberts said that, I was like, look, I don't care if a 10,000-year-old Rupert told it to a 5,000-year-old Seth, or she made it up. Whoever wrote that down in the book that I read, I'm in. And the sun. So Ray said, think about time and the sun. What about the sun? What's going on with the sun? I don't understand the thing. So like time and space, Stephen Hawking, hate him. Stephen Hawking said that you can't have one without the other. I don't know. But I do know that time apparently, according to this book that I'm still reading, was the first clocks that they know of were 3,500 BC. And 3,500 BC is, obviously Egyptians, there was civilization. I think 2,800 BC were the pyramids, but we definitely had functioning civilizations before clocks. How did they do it? They did it from, the beginning of time immemorial, right? What did we do before clocks that we can't do now, other than live as slaves in a system that says you better be there by 3:00 or you're not getting paid? It's not the way the world worked. I didn't work for somebody. I farmed, I gathered, I shot things. All right. In the east, it sets in the west. Yeah. The sun sets. Okay. Let's get this going. See, I just wish you would come on. In the east, it sets in the west. OBJ. Or a blowjob. Hey, son, if you don't set in the west, rise in the east and set in the west, I get a blowjob. I'm trying to find. Okay. Rise in the east, sets in the west. Okay. Did you send that twice accidentally? All right. So we lived without time. We lived without clocks. Okay. Time, you can say time exists on its own, but we didn't divide it into 60 seconds, 60 minutes, etc. Right? We survived. So I believe that there are certain things that were sold a bill of goods. Again, I said last week also that and I'm not saying that Ray is incorrect about what he's saying. I need more explanations because I keep getting, the windows on the plane and, and then the ice caps at the top, they're actually a wall. And I just think nobody has said to me like, yeah, dude, I was flying a plane and holy shit, man, I'm looking at my radar and it's telling me that I'm on a round earth and then went right off the fucking edge. Like nobody I know who flies jets, and I don't know anybody who flies rockets. No one I know has done that yet, has said that yet. So I guess my question is where is the proof other than it just being a theory? And I'm not saying that I'm right, but so far the Earth's been spherical my whole life. I've seen the planets. They seem to be doing what I was told they're doing. And the sun was time. Well, yeah, right. So listen, I believe that the sun comes up and goes down. So if you want to say, hey, that's time, what time is it? Is it 12 hours? Is it, 24 hours that are, made of minutes that are made of 30 seconds? Like, in other words, we made the intervals up, right? When you play to a click track, 60 beats per minute, that's 1 second, right? What is it? We made that up. So Neil Tyson deGrasse says the Earth is officially pear-shaped. Okay, now Neil Tyson deGrasse I used to follow that guy. I thought he was the cat's pajamas. He's just a corporatist. They got him. He says what they want. He says it's pear-shaped. Okay, is it pear-shaped and flat? Or is it pear-shaped and spherical, like an actual pear? I mean, having this shape wrong, maybe, but flat? Nobody said, so the content. Okay, guys, I used to go on my dad's boat. I'm telling you, I used to go on my dad's boat. We would go literally 80 miles off Jones Inlet scuba diving. I wouldn't scuba dive. I was little. And when we'd come back, I would see the top of the World Trade Center really clearly. And then I would see, right? I would see this. Wait, hang on. Where's my camera? I feel like I'm playing like a kid's game. So I'd see this. And then, 20 minutes later, I'd see this. An hour later, I'd see this. And then so I could see, distance-wise, I could see the top of the World Trade Center. So if I could see the top of it, and then it would get taller, doesn't that mean I was going around the curve of the Earth? I mean, I'm just saying, guys, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying, tell me how that happens without coming up with a secondary conspiracy theory. Oh, the World Trade Center was like those towers in Elmhurst where they'd go underground when they were full of oil and then they come up as they got empty. I need an explanation. I'm willing. I'm not even sure I can say honestly that I'm open-minded to flat Earth, but so I want somebody to explain it to me. That's all I'm saying. Can somebody do that? All right, guys, I think it's time that we sing We Are the World. Hold on. I want to do a version. Wait, can you hear that guitar? Is it making noise? Is it coming through the mic? What are the lyrics? Hey, wife, can you hear that? I can see you. Can you shake your head? You can hear that. Okay, cool. All right, so where are the lyrics? All right, here we go. There comes a time when we heed a certain call, and the world must come together as one. There are people dying. It's time to lend a hand of life, the greatest gift of all. We can't go on pretending day to day that someone somewhere soon make a change. I don't know how it goes after that. Here we go. We're all a part of God's great big family, and the truth is, love is all we need. Love is all we need in food and bread and grain. We are the world. Oh, wait. That's where Michael comes in, right? We are the children. We are the ones to make a brighter day. So let's start giving. I think that's the end of the song because I can't read the lyrics. Anyway, so that's my rendition. I hope you all liked it. We're going to be like signing off in a few minutes. If anyone has, okay, so are we confirming Dan Volker for next week? Dan, are we confirming you for next week? Neil Tyson DeGrassi? And does he say the earth is flat and pear-shaped, or does he say it's actually shaped like a pear? More Michael Jackson. I bet you say that to all the boys. So, again, I'm kind of curious, right? Are you coming on for sure next week? I'm going to book you. The following week is Katie Huffman. Katie Huffman won a Tony Award for The Producers, 10 seasons of Iron Chef America. She's been on Curb Your Enthusiasm. She is in a movie that was directed by John Turturro where she dances with Christopher Walken to the song Delilah while he's stabbing her to death. I really want to talk to her because she told me the story once. It's pretty crazy. He says it's shaped like a watermelon. Is it spherical like a watermelon, or is it an oval like a watermelon and flat? That's what I'm trying to figure out here. I don't know. Nobody will tell me, guys. This is what's so. How do you two? So lonely, right? Well, someone told me yesterday that when you throw your love away, you act as if you just don't care. So lonely. I'm so lonely. Nobody will give me the answer. Somebody just signed off in the middle of that song. Whoever you are, we can't go on pretending day to day. Man, I was doing Sting and somebody doing the police. Somebody signed off. That hurts, man. You guys know that I can see when you come on and go off, right? No, I can't see your names, so you have an anonymity. Okay, so hang on. I think it's dome shaped. What's the OBJ? There's like a little thing in Ray's text that says OBJ. I'm thinking it's code for something. Am I going to get like zapped? Like, are they going to? Do they have me in their beam? Anyway, all right. So this has been great. So we're going to start doing interviews, and I'm going to be moving in a couple of weeks to Saturday mornings. Nobody made a comment about that, but it's yeah. I mean, look, I want to be on here with somebody else. I want to do interviews, but I got to try this. Some friends of the other people on here said mean things to me. Mean things. Like my feelings are hurt. Like I can't go on. We can't go on pretending day to day. I'm just going to hold this thing all the time. This is my weapon. Actually, this is Sheila's weapon. Did you know Taylor is owned by the Moonies? I don't know if that's actually true, but I read that. So this is a Mooney guitar. What does that even mean? Do the Moonies actually own things? I don't know. So, all right. I'm going to go back to this comment here. Okay. Thanks, Bill. Thanks. Anyway, all right. We are the world. 6 seconds. See you next time. If you have people, interesting people who want to be interviewed, send me a note. Love y'all.